Emma Curtis Hopkins, that prayer and meditation, affirmative prayer and meditation, are connecting links with the divine, and that we experience and create our world through our thinking. I am the thinker. And that we must put spiritual principles into action. Those are the 5 basic principles that I'll go into more in detail Wednesday night. Now, according to Eric Page, who was a longtime archivist at the Unity Village Chapel, there were 3 key sources of books that influenced the Fillmores and their thinking as they developed the Unity movement. And the first was the Fillmores' inventory of their own books that they sold in the first issue of Modern Thought magazine. They published a magazine in April of 1889. And it advertised 109 books, 94 pamphlets, primarily about Christian Science and theosophy. But the inventory also included Eastern-themed texts. So the Bhagavad Gita was there, the Yoga philosophy, Legends and Theories of Buddhism, the Light of Asia. All these things were part of this collection. The second source of the Fillmores' readings were their own family book collection, which is now housed at Unity Village in their archives. And some of the original library is lost, but we do know that they were lots of books about history and religion and literature, including the Transcendentalists, who became a very, very big influence on the New Thought movement. So Emerson, Thoreau, Walt Whitman, all these people. And the third source was the list of 7 pamphlets by Swami Vivekananda, based on his American lectures and put on sale in the Unity magazines in 1897. And as I mentioned last week, Swami Vivekananda was a key figure at the Parliament of World Religions in 1893, bringing yoga philosophy to the West and also advocating interfaith awareness, religious tolerance, and a universal acceptance. So the Fillmores were early members of the International New Thought Alliance. They actually helped to found the International New Thought Alliance, bringing diverse groups together like divine science, religious science, science of mind, Christian Science. Ernest Holmes was part of that. But if you read the writings of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, they didn't talk about theosophy, and they didn't talk about Hinduism. Their writings are about the teachings of Jesus and the metaphysical interpretations of the Bible. And so back to the question that ironically divides the Unity movement. Is Unity Christian? So back in 1903, the Fillmores inaugurated Unity School of Practical Christianity in Lee Summit, Missouri, just outside Kansas City. That's where I attended all of the educational retreats that were required to take all of the credits and courses so that I could apply to seminary. And that's the place that graduated Patricia and I from Unity Seminary, the Unity School of Practical Christianity. But a decade or so ago, maybe longer even actually, the name was changed to Unity Institute. Why? Because it's not so religious sounding, right? It's not so Christian sounding. So Unity School of Practical Christianity became Unity Institute. And at around the same time, Unity Church in Charlottesville, formerly called Unity Church of Practical Christianity in Charlottesville, became Unity of Charlottesville. Why? Why did the names change? Well, Unity Worldwide Ministries, which is our parent organization, did a very expensive and very expansive branding study, and they found that more people would be attracted to Unity without the trappings of religious-sounding names, right? So is Unity Christian? For over 20 years, this has been an active debate among Unity ministers and at our national conference as well, sometimes quite heated, actually. This guy says, and the church Unity workshop has been postponed until the deacons can agree on the date, time, and color of the participants' name tags. Like any religious institution, structured and governed by human beings, there's a fundamentalist side and there's a progressive side. And then sometimes a very wide gap in between, all sorts of ideas in between that. And Unity is no exception. There are those who say that we should only be studying the writings and the teachings of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore and their interpretations of Jesus' teachings as well. And then on the opposite side, there are those who say that there's wisdom and truth to be found in all spiritual traditions, and that unity truths can be studied and applied to advance our own spiritual evolution. So on one side, we're a Christian denomination, even if we call ourselves New Thought Christians. And on the other side, we're sort of universalist, interspiritual, interfaith, generally emphasizing the teachings of Jesus, but open to all wisdom traditions. And so where do you think Unity of Charlottesville fits into all this? Any ideas? Oh, over here? Well, if you ask me personally, I'd have to say that I'm on the progressive side, right? I mean, I grew up in a Jewish family. I studied with Buddhist teachers and took refuge in the Buddha. I studied with an Indian master teacher, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and taught, and I'm still teaching transcendental meditation for the past 50 years. And I loved Jesus so much that I became a Unity minister, right? Pretty messed up. So I try to keep a balance in my teaching and speaking. I try to bring in the Fillmores. I try to talk about the Bible, metaphysics. I try to bring in other spiritual traditions, and they're great teachers and great ideas. But here's the thing about questions. Questions have the potential to divide us. Have you noticed that? They have the potential to divide us. Are you a Christian or are you not a Christian? Are you a Democrat or a MAGA Republican? Did you have your COVID vaccine or did you not have your COVID vaccine? Do you believe in a woman's right to choose or not? Are you a Fillmorian unity person or a unity interfaith universalist person, right? Do not try any of these questions at your next family gathering. So the absolute irony of all of these questions, all these divisions, are that they are diametrically opposed to the teachings of Jesus, right? What are the two great commandments? Love God and love your neighbor as yourself. Why don't we just do that, right? Why don't we just do that? So Reverend Sam Pascoe is an Anglican priest, and he wrote that Christianity started out in Palestine as a fellowship, moved to Greece and became a philosophy, moved to Italy and became an institution, moved to Europe and became a culture, moved to America and became an enterprise. So is unity Christian? So in the beginning days of the unity movement, Charles Fillmore wrote this. He said, "Unity is a link in the great educational movement inaugurated by Jesus Christ. Our objective is to discern the truth in Christianity and prove it. The truth that we teach is not new, neither do we claim special revelations or discovery of new religious principles. Our purpose is to help and teach mankind to use and prove the eternal truth taught by the Master." Now, if we unpack that paragraph, clearly the Fillmores thought that unity is practical Christianity. It's a Christian organization, practical Christianity, with Jesus as the principal teacher, who they called elder brother and wayshower. But unity has no claim over the words practical Christianity, right? I think every Christian denomination would probably describe itself as trying to discern and apply the teachings of Jesus in daily life, right? That's what most Christian denominations say they do, and there are about 200 of them in the world. But the Fillmores had a particular orientation. They said that the Bible is not meant to be taken literally, it's meant to be taken metaphysically. They said that Jesus was not the great exception, but the great example of all that we could achieve in the development of consciousness, right? Jesus said, all the things I do, you can do, and more. And Jesus is telling us that we can surpass him in our works, in our wisdom, and in our knowledge. And that's not something that's typically drummed into us as children, and that we probably either we didn't hear it frequently at our churches that we grew up with. Maybe we never heard it at the churches that we grew up with, right? So it's an amazingly hopeful and optimistic and encouraging idea for spiritual seekers, that all the things that Jesus did, we could do and even more. And I've met many people who claim to be Christian. I've met many people in Unity who have been attending Unity for a long time who don't believe that. They don't believe it, even though Jesus apparently said it. What else did the Fillmore say? God is not an old white man in the sky. God is spirit, one presence, one power. In all creation, underlying all creation, including us, and available to directly experience by each one of us. And that there are many paths to God. So freedom and tolerance and acceptance are big deals in Unity. And some years ago, I watched James Dobson on Larry King, the Larry King Show. He was the head of Focus on the Family, which is an ultra-conservative evangelical Christian group. At that time, they had 20 million listeners or viewers. And Larry King asked James Dobson, he said, as a Jew, can I go to heaven? Or can anyone who doesn't believe that Jesus is the only way to salvation, can they go to heaven? And James Dobson did not want to answer that question. He danced around and around and around, and Larry King kept pressing him, and finally Dobson said that the only way to heaven is to believe that Jesus is your Lord and Savior. It's the only way, and the Bible says it so.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Oh, so you're pretty religious.
I try.
So is it a problem that I'm not really religious?
Not for me.
Why not?
I'm not the one going to hell.
So I wondered about the other billions and billions of people around the world who are Muslims and Hindus and Buddhists and Christians and pagans and people who are atheists, people who are not religious. How is it possible to profess love, one of the core messages of Jesus, and at the same time think that anybody who doesn't believe the way you believe either is less than you or, worse than that, is doomed to go to hell? I wondered about that. I still wonder about that. And this is a really pressing and relevant issue as we come closer to the November election. Because as we approach the election, the Christian right and the white Christian nationalist movements are waiting in the wings to become a mainstream power. And there are powerful forces at work right now to suppress voting rights and even planning for post-election disruptions. So it isn't. So to me, love can never be less than. Love is love. Love is unconditional. Love is the very essence of God. It's the glue that holds the universe together. And it's certainly a central, if not the message of Jesus. And so, I have a perspective and a story about my Jesus. And I'm sure that each one of you has your own story and your own perspective about who Jesus is, who he was, all of that, because that's, Unity allows that. Unity encourages that. So my perspective about Jesus is that he didn't teach hatred. He taught about infinite love and compassion. He never would have sanctioned persecution of the Jews or the Crusades or the Spanish Inquisition. My Jesus would not have doomed people to hell and damnation. My Jesus would understand that pure love between people, whether they're homosexual or heterosexual or non-binary, is still pure love and is a blessing in the world. And how could that possibly undermine America or family values? Now, that's just me. I'm not asking you to believe any of that. And herein lies the precious gift of unity to the world. And that is the freedom to think openly and to form your own opinions about things, to discover your own truth about things, and to apply these principles to daily life, to our own spiritual journey. And so I imagine, I don't know if you've had the experience, I have, of being called a heretic because of what I believe. I would certainly imagine that for many Christians, I don't have a place in their heaven, I would imagine. But here at Unity, we have a spiritual home. We have a place of inclusivity. And in fact, one of the ways that I've heard Unity described is that we're culturally Christian and universally inclusive. So what does that mean? So culturally, meaning that we have very firm historical roots in Christianity, but inclusive meaning open to all wisdom traditions. We say that unity is a positive path to spiritual living. And on our website, it says this: Unity of Charlottesville is a center for spiritual growth dedicated to uplifting consciousness in our community and our world. We inspire and empower everyone to joyfully express the unique divinity through unconditional love, prayer, sacred service, spiritual education, meditation, and music. We are instruments of transformation. This was developed by one of our congregational meetings, and it became the mission statement of Unity for some time, and then we kind of shortened it as a congregation. Not me, but we as a congregation. So, back to the original question, are we Christian? Are we Christian? And what I say, and I guess I would ask you this, is does that label really matter? Does it matter? Can we just call ourselves positive progressive Christians, or positive progressive Christianity? Or how about just plain old New Thought? New Thought was the category that we were finally pigeonholed in when the Parliament of World Religions was trying to decide what denomination Unity is. There was no way that we fit. And so they created a broad category called New Thought, and New Thought is there, the Centers for Spiritual Living are there, independent New Thought churches are there. And that's how we can get recognized at the Parliament of World Religions. So I want to have Catherine Ponder have the last word here. Reverend Ponder was a Unity minister, a very well-known prosperity teacher for many years. And here's what she said about, she said that practical Christianity works because it stands for the establishment of the kingdom of heaven upon the earth in our lives, right here and right now. Students of practical Christianity know that they do not have to wait until some future life to enjoy the blessings of health, wealth, and happiness. As spiritual beings, these are ours by divine right now, and there's a caveat, if we dare to claim them. If we dare to claim them. Would you like to dare to claim them? Yeah? Yeah. So let's prepare for meditation.
And we are always ready.
So let's take some time now to come away, come apart for a while from our busy day, from our busy week. What a blessing it is, what a celebration it is to know that each one of us has the freedom and the power to choose what it is that we believe. We may not be widely accepted by friends of ours or people we've known, acquaintances, but we know who we are. We know who we are. And so we can stand firm in that knowledge that we're spiritual beings having a spiritual experience, masquerading as human beings in skin and flesh on a spiritual journey, spiritual voyage. And we may have our dark times and our down times. And then we have our times of just knowing how blessed we are. I invite us now just to take a few moments in the silence.
Thank you, Reverend Don, for lifting up our consciousness this morning. We have had a wonderful time here today. So it's time for us to give back a portion of all the good we've received here. But before I do that, is anyone here for the very first time? Anyone here for the very first time? Okay. If there's anyone online that's here for the first time, we welcome you as well and hope that maybe you'll join us here in the sanctuary if you're able. We'd love to see you here. So there are many ways to give to Unity of Charlottesville: online, text to give, the U.S. mail, or through our butterfly net here in the sanctuary, which Maria will be coming around with. We are so grateful for all of your tithes of your time, your talent, and your treasure. We love you all. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for your generosity. So we just bless all of you. And with that, let's go ahead and bless our tithes and offerings together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
Once again, we invite you to sing along with us, because you're such a great group of singers. There's a place I often go where I can find peace and rest my soul.
Come on, everybody, I'll meet you there.
It's a place that clears my mind. It's so close, it's not hard to find.
Come on, everybody, I'll meet you there. I'll meet you in the morning before the world begins. Give up the same old story and start all over again. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there.
Yeah, it's a feeling I can't describe. A destination you'll recognize.
Come on, everybody,
I'll meet you there. It's a gift we resist the most. That's how we know it's a place to go.
come on, everybody, I'll meet you there. I'll meet you in the morning before the world begins.
If I could do it, you can.
Give up the same old story and start all over again. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. Let's hear from our violins. I'll meet you in the morning before the world begins. Give up the same old story and start all over again. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. Deep down inside, I'll meet you there.
Where we can fly.
I'll meet you there. Take from my heart, I'll meet you there.
That's a place to start. Let's take you in the morning before the world begins. I give up the same old story and start all over again. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there.
Okay. Pastoral care. Our pastoral care team is, as always, available. You can reach the team through the Unity of Charlottesville email address or call the office.
And next week, your intentionality is power.
Ooh.
I want to give thanks to everybody, Bob and Amy and Luke up in the sound booth, and
Yay!
and our blessing team, Ellen and Denise and Maria out there, and Frank, I think, was on that as well. And of course, our wonderful band, Blair, and everybody on the band and praise singers. Thank you so much. Janice, thank you. Thank you. And we Healing Helpers will be back here with PMH. Back from, you feeling okay? Good, excellent. And Buddy, if you're here for, if you'd like individual prayer, Buddy will be down here in front as well. So let's stand and remember our hug meeting this afternoon downstairs through the doors there for fellowship. And together, our prayer for protection.
That's not it.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Wherever God is, all is well. Have a wonderful, positively practical day.
Yay!